Ladies and gentlemen, in some political parties, you're not even allowed to say that anymore, but I'm going to repeat it. Ladies and gentlemen. Hey. My name is Lois Perry, and if the truth be known, I'm really sorry to be standing here before you to be campaigning to lead UKIP. This should not have been necessary. UKIP achieved its principal objective, a claim few political parties can make, and it forced the hand of the party in power at the time, David Cameron's so-called Conservative Party, to hold a referendum on whether Britain should leave or remain in the European Union. And not only did we win that argument, but we won the battle itself to extract ourselves from the EU. Disappointingly, though, we have still not won the war. We have been totally let down by our weak political leadership, a leadership that blames its failings on the biased mainstream media and our woke civil service. But ultimately, the blame lies with those who clamoured to take back control, but never had the balls to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at a woman with balls. Now, I know they say that at all the other party conferences nowadays, but unlike them who boast about their recognition of numerous genders, I have only one agenda, and that's to make Britain great again. So let me tell you about my agenda and how we will achieve it. We are the United Kingdom Independence Party. That means we believe in independence, not just from Europe, but in everything that we do. Not only should we be a strong independent state, but we should be strong, independent people. Since the end of Thatcher and the onset of Blair, Britain has once again evolved into a dependency culture, and in many cases, a victim culture. Blame everyone else for your failings, but not yourself. This has to end. Before that serious bout of national flu, COVID, there were around 3 million people claiming benefits. Now it's not far off double. And whilst I have no doubt that many claims are completely valid, this state of affairs cannot continue. We need to shake ourselves out of this stupor. Rishi Sunak funded people during COVID so they could stay at home and watch Netflix or go back to Poland or even get a second paid job. And they all took the cash. I believe that work should pay, and that pay should be rewarded with low taxes. You work hard and you should keep much more of what you earn. If you can't be bothered, the government will not subsidise laziness. This country will never, ever succeed if we don't put in the effort. And you know the best way to deal with anxiety and mental health is to have a steady job to give you security. So my first principle is economic security and encouraging people back to work with lower taxes. But that doesn't stop at individuals. It goes for businesses too, and especially small businesses, the drivers of the British economy. Not only must we lower business taxes to encourage businesses to invest and grow, but we also have another job to do, and that's to slash red tape. The main reason why small businesses give up the will to live is because the business owners get totally fed up with all of the mad rules and pointless regulations, so they decide to pack it all in. One of the key opportunities of Brexit was the ability to slash regulations, especially for small businesses, yet our government has done absolutely nothing to help them. As another blonde female and recently very short-term leader of a quite tired political party once exclaimed, "This is a disgrace." For those of you that know me, the lucky ones, you will know that for the last few years, I have been campaigning vigorously against our completely deranged net zero policy through my campaigning organisation, Car26. I strongly believe that this is one of the most important issues of our day, and what I've been campaigning for aligns perfectly with UKIP's objectives. Now, maybe some of you here believe in man-made climate change. I don't, actually. And I've spoken to and read enough books by scientists and experts that deride the fancy claims about a catastrophe waiting to happen. But surely the real catastrophe is that we are impoverishing ourselves through our completely bonkers net zero policies, like subsidising wind farms and solar farms, which are completely inefficient as they don't work most of the time. We are destroying our businesses. through exorbitant energy costs and punishing consumers too with budget-breaking electricity and gas prices. And meanwhile, the Chinese and others are laughing at our economically suicidal fervour. But here's the thing. Even if you think the planet is going to burn or burn and flood, indeed, and think the world needs to reduce its emissions, there is another problem here, and one which should be obvious to anyone who cares about the UK's independence. We live in dangerous times. Threats are developing from Russia, China, and Iran. And for our nation's security, we absolutely must be energy independent. We don't want to be like Germany, who depended on Russian oil and gas. So when Putin invaded the Ukraine, Germany was in effect funding Putin's war effort. It's madness. War now in the Middle East could potentially end quickly if the UK did what it did with Russians and froze Qatari assets in the UK until Qatar handed over the billionaire Hamas mafia leaders, all holed up in the Four Seasons Hotel. But we can't do that because we depend on gas from Qatar. We are dependent, not independent. This cannot go on anymore. In 2013, the Americans were dependent on oil from the Middle East, but instead they started a program of fracking across the USA without any major environmental concerns. America is the most litigious country in the world. If there was any problems with fracking, we'd know about it. Now, not only are they net exporters of energy, their electricity is 1/6 of what we pay. But more to the point, they now have zero reliance on the Middle East or anywhere else. That's the sort of net zero that I like. UKIP should be the party of energy independence. We should start fracking now. We have no time to lose. UKIP has always been concerned about immigration in the UK, and whilst these concerns were often unjustly perceived by progressives as a form of racism or xenophobia, nothing could be further from the truth. The main issue was that our country was simply becoming overcrowded, and the growth of public services, and especially transport and housing, were not growing at the same pace. Having said that, more and more people now are coming out of the woodwork and raising concerns about immigration. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Britain having a mix and diversity of cultures, but for Britain to be unique amongst nations, which is a good thing, especially if you believe in diversity, we need to ensure that people who live here share similar values. And sadly, we appear to be moving further and further away from that direction. Every single week at the moment on our streets in London and elsewhere, we see people marching in the name of free speech, yet they don't believe in free speech at all. They bully, they intimidate, some even glorify a prescribed terrorist organisation, Hamas. And meanwhile, our police forces stand idly by and allow them to carry on. It's not good enough. Our police are afraid to make arrests for unlawful behaviour and afraid of being accused of Islamophobia, whatever that means, as they were with the grooming gangs. And so we have a breakdown of law and order in Britain, and those who get away with it feel ever more empowered to go further and further and further. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing on the streets people emboldened by the fact that they're getting away with stuff, that the police aren't stopping them, that they've got power in numbers and that they can overwhelm us. The police need to enforce the law. The laws are already in place. This must stop now, and we need a complete de-radicalisation programme in our education system, and we need an overhaul of policing. It's too woke, too weak. The police need to arrest criminals, not try to understand them. Jihad means jihad. When they say jihad, that's holy war. We need to believe them. They're telling us what they want to do. As far as illegal immigration is concerned, the clue is in the name, illegal. These people should be deported the day they arrive on our shores. These criminals, by definition, are abusing our hospitality, and enough is enough. In a nutshell, the health service is too big and unmanageable and needs major reform. Education is too woke, defence too weak, transport is too expensive, and road users have been unfairly punished. We need more homes, and planning needs reform. The Bank of England should be back under control of the Treasury, where it can be accountable to elected politicians. We need more prisons. We need fewer quangos. We must scrap net zero, and we must have zero tolerance on petty crime. We should defund the woke BBC, and we should target wasteful spending across our entire public sector. An earthquake is rumbling. People are fed up to the teeth with politicians who claim pride at achieving diddly squat and public servants who are rewarded for failure. The United Kingdom Independence Party is still here to shake things up. And when I, Lois Perry, set my mind to doing something, no one gets in my way. Thank you very much.